Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The Brent Virginia Tech rebuild. It's not only upon us, we're seeing it right before our eyes. This is a team that, during the offseason, we talked about, got to be patient with Brent Pry. Justin Fuente just leaving him in such a bad spot. Had kind of some optimism, some guarded optimism heading into the year. You take a look at Virginia Tech, 3-1 in conference, 4-4, looking like they'll make a bowl game. But not only a bowl game, legitimate kind of dark horse competitors in the ACC as you look at the remaining schedule at Louisville, at BC, NC State, Virginia. I see 4 winnable games for how good Virginia Tech is playing. I want to talk a little bit about what we saw from Virginia Tech tonight against Syracuse. Fellas recording right after the game. Now, before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Virginia Tech fans. You guys always showed a ton of love. We were talking a lot of Virginia Tech this offseason. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the boys. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. More importantly, would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. Your big takeaways, not only from this game, but the rebuild that we are seeing. Going to give you the T-box. Virginia Tech absolutely shellacking Syracuse 38-10 at home. How we feeling here?
Yeah, they had the place rocking tonight. It felt like, it is coming back. The excitement's back. And I think you always have that with a new coach. But, again, going back to a guy you've kind of had before around the Virginia Tech program, knows the program.
He gets it.
The recruiting going. Like, you just do feel that energy back. And you saw the physicality, I think, that everyone was waiting for in what was probably missing in the Fuente era.
That is 100% what you just saw. In less than 15 minutes ago, we're recording right after they just finished this game. That's what you saw, or that's what you kind of expect with Brent Pry and what he's going to bring to this Virginia Tech team. Dill, I want to start on the offensive side of the ball. It starts with the running game, and this is something we talked about earlier in the season that they just could not get going on the ground. You bring in Kyron Drones, and he's kind of just implemented another dynamic ball carrier into this offense. You take a look at the rushing attack and just compare how the Syracuse to Virginia, 318 rushing yards to 0 rushing yards for Syracuse. It starts up front, and if they get that run game going, and this is an offense that's consistently running the football, the passing attack is going to happen, but it's important for them to get the ground game going, and they certainly did that tonight.
Yeah, and I can't imagine you lose many games with that type of stat line. Where you dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides to the degree they did. But I'm kind of with you. I think, again, when you have 2 quarterbacks in Drones and Wells, who neither of them I'd say are aces in the pass game, although Drones had some very nice throws today. But when you have that, you got to have the guy who runs the football a little better. It just – you see how much I think it's opened up this offense. And again, I love the decision they've made. Go with Drones. It's obviously, I think things are starting to click a little bit, and they're starting to run the ball.
It's just giving a new dynamic to this offense. And like you said, it gets a lot easier to throw the football when you can run the football as well as Virginia Tech ran the ball tonight. Another thing I noted on offense, the transfer wide receivers really stepping up. This was something that we noted heading into the year, where last year they just did not have weapons on the outside. They're starting to get some of those guys in the transfer portal. Some are coming in the recruiting class as well. What I loved most about it was this was a spot for Virginia Tech to, I think, really show they've turned the corner in this Brent Pry era. At home, chance to get to 4-4, 3-1 conference record. They came out ready to play. Like, you saw 2 double passes in the first 2 possessions, couple end arounds, couple deep shots. Brent Pry in this Virginia Tech offense came out saying, hey, we're going to go be aggressive. We're going to go try to score points. And, I mean, that's exactly what they did here.
Yeah, nothing wrong with playing to win. I mean, I do think, like, when you see a coach kind of put that confidence in a unit that, again, at times has looked weak, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but to go, do some things, try to change it up, you got to love it. Again, when you're in a rut, you got to do something. I thought what they did today, they threw the kitchen sink at Syracuse, and it obviously really worked. But at the end of the day, what worked is they controlled the physicality. They controlled the lines of scrimmage, and they were far more physical. They looked like a tougher team.
And time of possession, too. You take a look at the time of possession here, 41 minutes to 18 minutes. Syracuse pretty much had the ball for a quarter of this game. And it's kind of culminating. You've seen this the last couple of weeks. That's why we took Virginia Tech to cover the 3 points, was against Pitt, against Wake Forest. Like, they started putting more complete performances on both sides of the football. And I think you saw that all come together tonight. They'll flip into the defense, and this is a funny story for the Virginia Tech fans. We were prepping the Florida Gators after we had already prepped Virginia Tech, and we said, what's our big concern about Virginia Tech on defense? Really like the secondary, really like Kelly Lawson at linebacker. Who's going to be getting after the passer for Virginia Tech? We were relatively low on this pass rushing unit. And Dale, you texted me one night where it said Antoine Paul Ryland. I was watching Florida's bowl game. This dude transferred to Virginia Tech.
Well, I thought he was still on Florida. I'm like, oh, this dude's going to rock for Florida. And then it's like, oh, I go look at the roster. Oh, he's gone. And Virginia Tech, oh, they got a dog, and they have a dog. He is awesome. I think you can just see when you watch him, that explosiveness, that twitchiness on the edge. Again, maybe a little undersized for sure, but that athleticism, it's unique, and he's been a handful, obviously.
And this Virginia Tech pass rush in general has been a handful. I mean, 8 sacks tonight, that is an absolutely insane number. They lead the ACC in sacks, and this is a conference with Florida State, Clemson, Miami, the defensive lines that have loaded NFL talent. Virginia Tech, arguably the best pass rushing unit of the bunch.
And those guys in the middle are sick. Like, I love Fuga. I think he's such a good player, and they're pretty deep. It's a really, really good unit. And I think this is the type of stat sheet that very much validates what we kind of saw in the offseason and what you kind of hope for when you bring in a guy like Brent Pry who wants to play a very physical style of football.
Got a little ad popping up on us. And Dill, what you said it best, like winning football at Virginia Tech, what it looks like under Brent Pry. This is what it looks like. Defense, 0 of 9 for Syracuse on third downs. They had 0 rushing yards. They only had the ball for 18 minutes. You talk about winning football, controlling the clock, being able to run the football, being able to take away the run of an opposing team. They kind of checked all the boxes. I kind of want to focus on like where this program is going, because we said Brent Pry was left in a really bad spot, and was it a little concerning, the year one performance? Yeah, maybe, but we said like he is building this roster. I thought he did a really good job in the transfer portal. You take a look at what he's doing in the 2024 class on the recruiting trail. It's picking up. He's recruiting the state of Virginia in that area around it better.
One big thing to me is he didn't really hammer that offensive line in the portal. I think in the spring, if you listen to our preview of Virginia Tech, we both kind of question that. Like, man, this was not a great offensive line unit. They were going to lose a couple guys, and they really didn't attack the portal hard. But to have it rebuild like that kind of organically and just see them take that monster sort of step, it does make you think. Because, again, I know people like to focus solely on recruiting, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to develop good players. And he took an offensive line, and this coaching staff did, that I thought was weak last year, and you've seen them make some market improvements. And that was portal players.
We said that was either 2 reasons. One, they just missed on some targets in the transfer portal, and it's looking like this was the option. They said, hey, we got some young guys that we have a lot of confidence in. When you see a unit that struggled a year before, they don't address in the transfer portal, that probably means that they kind of had a confidence in some of these guys on the offensive line. And that looks like the case. I mean, I can't wait to get back and watch like the film on this tomorrow morning, because there are so many takeaways. But I think the biggest takeaway is you're starting to see the Virginia Tech program turn that corner. And if you guys have listened to us talk Virginia Tech football, not necessarily a Virginia Tech fan, but as a college football fan, you got to be absolutely pumped up about where this program is going. There's no better college environment. This is why this was a vibes pick for me. When I took Virginia Tech to cover the 3 points, Thursday night, Lane Stadium, the vibes around this team are extremely high. The fan bases are really excited. And that's what you saw tonight. I'm fired up again. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. We'll call it there. We'll be probably doing some sort of recap, a little bit of a deeper dive of what we're seeing from this Virginia Tech team. But still, at Louisville, after they play Duke, that's a big time spot for Virginia Tech. At BC, I favor them there. You get NC State at home. That's going to be rocking. And then you finish with Virginia. I see at least 3 more wins on this schedule, if not winning out.
I would expect 3 wins. And frankly, the way that Louisville plays, I mean, they're hit or miss. And they really don't get good enough quarterback play, I think, to be just a juggernaut in the way you kind of maybe thought they were at the beginning with that 5-0 record or whatever it was. They're not that team. I mean, they're beatable because, again,
they just went on the road and lost to Pitt by 3 scores. So, I mean, like this could be like we weren't Still, we were high on Virginia Tech heading into the season. We weren't like dark horse in the ACC.
No, I was thinking like 500. I was like, oh, they'll probably be much better, but
we were thinking bowl game, and that was the team that like, and it's not even like it's because of an easy schedule. It's yes, the schedule is gettable, but the team, like the vibe of this team is just different. This is a team that's playing complete complementary football. The fellas are fired up. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Hope y'all have a good night. Go celebrate it. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.